panel discussion, and it is about artificial intelligence and IoT incorporated in animal husbandry. I think many of us are eagerly waiting to see this, as Anup sir mentioned. First of all, I would like to welcome the moderator onto the stage, Sri Alvin George, founder and CEO of VST Mobility Solutions Private Limited. He is the Chief Executive Officer at VST Mobility Solutions Private Limited, CEO and founder of VST Travel Solutions Private Limited, and he has experience and expertise in the industry for more than 10 years. Welcome you onto the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a huge round of applause. And next, I would like to welcome Sri M. Sivasankar IAS, Principal Secretary, Animal Husbandry and Sports and Youth Welfare, onto the stage. About Sri M. Sivasankar IAS, Indian Administrative Service Officer of 1995 batch, Principal Secretary, Animal Husbandry and Sports and Youth Welfare. He has served as Secretary to Government of Kerala in various departments such as Information Technology, Consumer Affairs, Civil Supplies, Land Revenue, Tourism, General Education, Public Works, Social Justice and Tribal Welfare and Power. We welcome you with a huge round of applause, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Sreeshankar Nair, CEO and co-founder, Brainwired. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the CEO and co-founder of Brainwired, worked as Chief Business Development Officer at Lycan and Business Development Manager at Think and Learn Private Limited of Byju's. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we can give him a huge round of applause for Sreeshankar Nair. Next, I would like to welcome Sri Samuel John, co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of MIsteo, worked as Chief Operating Officer at Satshare, co-founder of StatLogic, HSSE, advisor at Petrofac and Public Relations Specialist at Orient Planet. Give him a huge round of applause. So this talented panel will be discussing about artificial intelligence and IoT incorporated in animal husbandry. Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank all the audience and the organizers for hosting us. I think from morning onwards, we are listening to IoT, and the bandwidth of IoT can be extended to many of the life, including animals. And this is the area where the real application of IoT happens. And this is one of the area where I think many of the startups are not working on, and we have a lot of opportunity and application of IoTs and sensors which really add value to our society lies with this food and animal industry. So let's have a discussion where we can bring out many ways where real problems can be addressed using IoT as a technology, as a facilitation to cut down the cost of production, also to bring quality in the manufacturing sector as well as the farming sector. So let me start with Sivasankar sir to get an insight of technology, as sir represents the Animal Husbandry Department. He serves as Principal Secretary also in the department, and also worked as the IT Secretary and mentored many startups. So let's get an insight of what Animal Husbandry is looking at using the technology, and how the technology can be leveraged to the real beneficiaries, who are the farmers, who are our food producers, and also how government is taking this to deliver these end results to our common population. And yours.
Yeah, I have a very brief requirement list. I won't say what all could be done in the animal husbandry sector. There are three things which are very unique to the animal husbandry sector as far as Kerala is concerned. The first element is that it's an extremely cost-sensitive domain. There is a lot of emphasis to reduce costs, and containing of cost is very, very critical. So I was just listening to, if you have animals and you need to feed them, and feeding cost is very high because the natural roughage is not getting produced in Kerala, because our agriculture has moved from conventional food-based agriculture to commercial crops, and that commercial crop residue is not ideally suitable for animals to consume. Like, you still don't have a cow which will eat rubber leaves. Okay, so that is a problem. So which means most of your food for animals will have to be imported. And that is when I was listening to the previous presentation when he was saying about printing a mango. I don't want to print a mango. Please print me grass. Just print me grass so that my cows can eat. So if that is possible, then there is a connect. So the harsh reality is that there is a set of requirements which we have. I'll just go through that. To catch the imagination of people, I've just titled as Internet of Cattle. Dairying as an activity or livestock sector as an activity contributes 28.21% to gross state value added in the economy. That's a substantive portion. And we are talking about this being done by hardly 800,000 farmers. And the numbers are very minimal. It's not. You don't require 6 crore smartphones and all. You're talking about 800,000 farmers and something like 10 lakh animals. Yeah. The biggest problem is this. If you look at a traditional livestock farmer, you don't find anyone below 35. Apparently, livestock farmers, if there was a retirement age like in government, then livestock farmers would not be there, because a good portion of them are above 60. You have only 3% or 4% people below age of 35 or 40. This basically shows that the next generation is not getting into this as a serious activity. It's a sunset industry in that sense. So how do you get new generation to get into livestock? It's happening at a different level. People who work in IT and all, after a bit of time they want to, they get repelled by whatever is the circumstance and they want to come back and fetch the roots or whatever it was. So some of those hobby farmers and stuff like that are coming, but that's not, under IT industry goes through a major crisis and a lot of people take to that line, then it may happen. Otherwise there is a problem. I'm talking about attracting normal people into farming. This we feel what can get done is that you need to avoid the drudgery associated with farming and make this whole farming into a fun activity, as if it's a video game or as if it's a PlayStation this thing. So how do we do that? And apart from this, and I've met very interesting people who are doing fabulous things in this sector by setting up small farms, experimenting, tweaking. But all of them have decided that they are not going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, cut the grass, put it to the animal, milk the animal, take the milk, go to the society, wash the animal, clean the cow. No, they don't do that. Once you remove the drudgery part and then get into a very interesting experimentation, innovation, tweaking type of thing, then the sector, the domain, the activity becomes very, very exciting. Yeah, so this is the main focus. You need to avoid drudgery. How do we avoid drudgery? Through automation, substantially, or IT enabling or tech enabling type of thing. And manual labor. I'll come back to that later. And the next phase is knowledge management, that is, or practice management or innovation in that. How do you create better breeds? How do you ensure that the gestation time for an animal from a calf to heifer to a milking cow, how that can get reduced? How do you have more milk coming out of the animal? How do you make it more productive? And it need not just be breed management or genetics and stuff like that. I've seen a very interesting thing in Gujarat, again the NDDB type of an output, where there's one cooperative society which is working entirely on cow dung. They collect cow dung, like they collect milk, they collect cow dung, they take it to a factory, they make organic manure out of that. Now they have tied up with Gujarat, some other fertilizer company to market it as an organic mix. So there's a very value addition can happen at very, very different levels. Yeah. So I have 5 points which I would like to identify as possible intervention areas related to IoT. One is the animal needs to be identified and uniquely identified, like your Aadhaar or like your fingerprint. How do you uniquely identify an animal? Right now it is being done through a ear tag. DUK is doing a project where some RFID chip is being done on animals in one district. It has taken quite a bit of time. I was told that there was an attempt done at muscle mapping. Just take a photograph of the animal's muscle and use that as a identification, but it has not really been successful. That's what I was told. Whether it's entirely unique. So I believe there are two theories. One is you have all the animals' pictures there, and then there's a comparison engine like the fingerprint type of thing. Then there's a constructive stuff like each like in the fingerprint you see each layer being mapped and then constructed and then you uniquely identify animals. So there are two theories. Anyway, that's not the source. We're still depending on chips, RIDF chips. Now, if there is a simple mechanism of identifying an animal through a phone, like your facial recognition passcode type of thing, the advantage is that insurance becomes very simple. And that actually reduces cost substantively. Trading becomes very simple. Traceability becomes very simple. The progeny of the animal, the yield of the animal all gets verified. Verifiability becomes very simple. So this is a very important breakthrough we can have. I'm told it's not there as of now. And I would be very happy if some of these startups, a couple of these startups whom I know are capable of cracking this problem. If they can come out, solution come out from Kerala, it would be very good. Now, the second thing is, once you have the animal, once you have identified the animal, you need to know what is the animal's, what would I say, health or productivity type of thing. Right now, we don't have any measure of that other than how you don't, like in pet dogs, and you have that tracking done and pedigree established type of thing. To a certain extent, this is possible in animals, but then I don't think that type of traceability exists right now in the system. Elements of that is there. It is not blockchain. It is not into that type of transparency doesn't exist. On to that, if you can add a simple mechanism, like people are talking about, nanoboards and stuff like that. You have some things very simple, which will identify the genetic potential of the animal, vulnerability of it to diseases, and disease is a major problem. If the animal falls sick, then the whole the insurance doesn't come, the whole thing goes for a 6. So can something like a body fluid analysis, it can be done very simple and take it to the next level? Is this type of technology is available? That is the second part. Third is regarding this drudgery, avoiding of drudgery type of thing. We are talking about automatic milking machines, cow shed cleaning robots, on-call veterinary care, this thing, like geriatric care, we have been talking about mobility sensors. So these type of stuff, even silage, feeding, making like a Swiggy Zomato type of thing, the animal actually orders for its breakfast and somebody delivers it type of thing. So this type of on doorstep delivery of services and gig enabling that would create employment potential, and it changes the way things are being done right now. And again, artificial insemination, this is the most important. Kerala has 94% of its animals are crossbred. So it's fairly a healthy proportion. And what we need to ensure is that the next calf which is coming out yields a higher, which means it needs to have a better insemination base to start off with, and tracking that. It is a very complicated. If you look at insemination as one component, how the semen is extracted, how it is stored, how it is thawed, the fluorescent straws which they use, the unique identification which is there, the transportation in terms of it needs to be carried at a minus 30 degrees centigrade type of thing, nitrogen flask and stuff like that. It's a very complicated thing. So that system is still very, very crude and rudiment. So that is an area where from what I say blockchain enabling to simple device enabling, there are a lot of stuff which can get done. Yeah, this is the farm feeding the animal. Like if someone can print grass or have alternate these things. Very interesting experiments that have been happening here. Animals which have been fed on beer waste or pineapple waste or jackfruit waste actually yields a lot. So if you can aggregate some of these type of byproducts of agroclimatic zones and collate it, there is some value which comes to the input as well as the productivity also gets improved. That's a major thing which we can do. Yeah, this I won't get into. These are all, so I will limit the immediate requirements or challenges. See, three things are very clear. This is a very important sector. If you look back, there was a focus group discussion done quite recently, and then you ask these kids there who participated there, do you drink milk? They said no. But then you start looking at what they consume on a day-to-day basis, and the component of dairy products into your natural diet is unbelievable. If you start looking at it very, very closely, you'll find some component of dairy coming into you in some way or the other. So it's a very important sector. It adds value to the economy. We are nearly self-sufficient. Kerala as a state is nearly self-sufficient, and in the next 2-3 years we will become self-sufficient. For it to become an economic activity, there needs to be margins, and margins cannot come from hobby farming. And for more people to come into this and get into activity, the young people would need to come innovate and modernize this sector, which would mean you need to avoid drudgery and stuff like that, and which actually means you need to do a lot of innovation in management and technology. And 5 areas which we have identified are what I had outlined earlier. If any one of you or any of the startups in Kerala or companies in Kerala are willing to work on these lines and come out very practical, workable solutions, government is prepared to engage. That's all that I can do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir has given us a lot of insights. I think startups who are looking for opportunities are getting a lot of verticals where sir has gone to from starting from cattle farming to the fodder making, the engagement of technology there. Sir has given more insight. Let's come back to the audience after my discussion with Sreeshankar. Sreeshankar works in the same domain, and you can give more lights on how technology can be grabbed, and how technology can reduce all the challenges in this sector so that we can have much productivity for farmers.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for the presentation. So it's actually really something Dr. Sivasankar said is actually kind of very synonymous to the whole country. I mean, obviously he spoke about the Kerala problems and all that, but if you look at the whole pan-India picture, like India has the largest number of dairy farms anywhere in the world. Like we have more than 75 million dairy farmers, and the country that comes second is Pakistan with only 15 million dairy farmers. But if you look at the production that is happening, India is now the largest milk producing country, and the major reason that I feel from the work that I've been doing is that farmers are not tech savvy. Second, they are not aware of a lot of things. As simple as what kind of feed is to be given, in what proportion it has to be given, and the basic principles on how to increase the productivity. And as sir rightly said, there is a big problem with cattle diseases. So as per one study, India loses around 18,000 crore rupees annually because farmers are not able to detect disease at an early stage. And that sum itself is very dangerous because every year 18,000 crore rupees has been taken out of the economy because of this very small problem. And I guess that is where my company comes into the picture. Brainwired has designed and developed the world's most affordable livestock health monitoring and tracking system. We started with a device for the dairy industry. It's IoT based, similar to a smartwatch that we all wear. It's IoT enabled, so it is similar to an ear tag. It is placed on the ear of the cattle, and it is not RFID, it is IoT, so it monitors whatever the cattle is doing on a day-to-day basis, eating, drinking, ruminating, body temperature, everything that can be monitored through the cattle's head. And based on that, we predict the health of the cattle and the reproduction cycle, that the heat cycle of the cattle, the onset of heat cycle. Plus, we have a team of veterinary doctors who we assign to farmers so that they can get a proper consultation throughout the day. They can monitor the farm for the farmers, and then they can provide better insights on what kind of feed to be given, what kind of medicines to be given, what kind of vaccinations to be taken. So that's the one small step that we have taken in this sector, and fortunately for us, it has been working really good. We have been getting good results. We are working with a few government, state government agencies. We are working with central government agencies as well. But yes, that is just the beginning. There's a long way to go, considering that this particular sector contributes to the economy in a very large manner. And what Sir said, I mean, obviously, in terms of identifying the cattle vision analytics is a very big part of it. We have heard about studies being done in Israel and US where they can identify the mood of the animal by vision and analytics, by taking a picture of the animal's face, whether it's happy, whether it is sad. And apparently that also plays a role in the productivity. The heat inside the shed, like if you're tying a cattle inside a shed and the shed temperature goes high and the THI is above 70 or 80, the body stress itself reduces the productivity by 30%, I believe. So that itself is creating a lot of problem, and that is something that a farmer does not know. And just as Sir said, the drudgery in the industry, and I feel that is because this sector does not have much technology. And once you bring in technology, once you bring in AI, once you bring in IoT, once you make it much more interesting, because like we are living in the era of Zomato and Swiggy. Like we don't want to go to the restaurant, we want everything delivered to our home. So if we provide a platform, a marketplace where everything can be ordered online, where everything can be delivered to the doorstep, and a system can take care of your farm, and we can completely convert it from a conventional farm to a smart farm, then that is where this whole sector can instantly boom. And Brainwired is taking a step towards that. We have taken a step one, that is in introducing IoT and AI and ML into health and heat monitoring, and eventually we are turning it into a marketplace where we'll be bringing insurance companies, we're bringing cattle traders, we are bringing feed suppliers.
So normally, most of the farmers will be like Sir has mentioned, like age or like above 40s or 50s who are from the traditional background. So the adoption of technology is little bit on the slower side, because they have some problems. Like if you put an automatic milking machine, people will say that the milk yield is coming down. Like that, any adverse effects, like you put a technology, they will say that some health issues will happen. Do you face any challenges in that aspect?
So we have done multiple pilots. We have had setbacks, as you said. We have had situations with small infection, but that was not because of the device itself, but because of the shell, the covering, the shell that we had used. So we changed that. But yeah, what you said is correct. I mean, there is an apprehension when it comes to technology for farmers who are like above 65, because suddenly a technology is being implemented. So what we have done is that one, we do an awareness campaign with the help of government, and the other thing is that we focus on the societies, the dairy societies or the milk companies with which the farmer is working. So once we provide it to them and then they give it at a subsidized to the farmers as a test platform, then the farmers are more willing to accept it and try it. And once they start getting results, then they eventually shift to it. And the way we have modeled ourselves is that we kind of give them a free trial first, and if they like it, then they can adopt it, and then they can go into the whole sales cycle of it. So it's hard, it's not easy, but we're taking first few steps, and we're seeing how the initial response have been very positive, especially from the northern belt.
So,
yeah, I mean, for us, the present device, farmer, yeah, obviously. I mean, thing is that like you're spending around, you're spending 60,000 to 1 lakh and above for cattle, for buying cows either through a loan or from your own money, and losing a cattle becomes a very big problem. So when we provide a device which is like very affordable, like around 2,000 rupees for device, farmers, even though initially apprehensive, but once they realize the potential, like if a farmer is low, let's say not able to track the heat cycle on this particular month, he has to wait another whole month to try it again. And that 30 days period, if he's losing that kind of milk, he's saying goodbye to 20,000, 25,000 worth of economic opportunity. Compared to that, if he's spending only this much and getting returns, then that is something that he is willing to do. And the other alternative is going to a larger company and spending around 20,000 per device, which again is a very complex procedure and it is suitable for larger dairy farms, and that is something that India has very small number of. So yeah.
So actually my second question asks regarding the cost. The other factor which relates to the cost is the economical, commercial, factors which comes into for a farmer affordability of using a technology. Because ours is a traditional way of, it's not like we have Australians cow sheds, or traditional way of cows having 5 to 6 cows, or maximum is 10 cows apart from the big farms. Okay. So what is the challenge when you go for the miniature kind of deliveries? Like the deliveries will not be the technology when it comes to the large number, it is affordable. When it comes to the minimum level, and that too with the minimum infrastructure, how you can handle that?
So the one way we work around is through a subscription model where they don't have to pay a larger amount upfront and they can convert it into it. We are also working with banks to provide them kind of an EMI model so that they don't have to pay upfront. But yeah, that is something, because this sector is very cost sensitive, there has to be a way wherein we can cut down the prices. For us, we are doing multiple models, trying to subsidize, we are actually speaking with the government if we can subsidize solution here in the future. But yeah, obviously EMIs and bank collaborations is what we're focusing on. And technology, in terms of technology, when you're putting a system like this on a farm in a remote area, the range, the network connectivity plays a vital role. And for that, we are, instead of being farm centric, we are planning to be village centric and make a device like that. So yeah.
Thank you, Sreeshankar. I have my own colleague Samuel. Samuel, we were interacting with the technology and how technology can be used. You work with more of AI in environment and creating the conditions for bringing maximum output using the existing technology. So what you see for creating a better environment? You have farms which are running in creating conditions where the productivity will be high in Australia, US, and many foreign countries. How your technology is related to farming industry in case of AI?
So I'd like to take a contrary view of what has been spoken here. I think Sreeshankar said right at the very beginning, set the stage for that, which said that the industry is extremely cost sensitive, and that should be the first and primary most driving factor that we need to look at when we are trying to address the problems. The problems are dime the dozen. Every single problem, sir, is identified is a disruptive industry as such. For example, silage is one of the biggest industries that could potentially come out, and there are brilliant farms that do just silage and nothing else in Tamil Nadu, which we interact with. The big problem here, though, is the cost factor of it. In fact, we were having a conversation earlier on, which says that if a cow costs 45,000 rupees and it costs 45,000 rupees to fix, a medical problem, okay, that be mastitis or anything for that matter, why would a farmer invest that money? The farmer would rather let the cow die and get the mortality insurance paid out. So, what is it that we can do in the financial modeling side to ensure that it is incentivized to, take the cow for, medical intervention? That would really change the game, and everything that we are talking about in terms of technology will fall into place. Because what Brainwired does is it tracks the stress of the cow. Right? When you track the stress of the cow, you can proxy that to the milk production. India is not a country where milk production is really high. You have 8 liters per animal per day. Comparison, the US is 50 liters. Okay, A country like, for example, Australia is averaging between 25 and 30 liters, and we have the largest head count of cattle as per 2011 census, which was 300 million heads of cattle. By far the largest market in the world. We are only producing less than half of that. Now you see the disruption that can be brought in if efficiencies were brought into place. And efficiencies is all about financial efficiency, which Sir had talked about right at the very beginning. So that's the area that I work quite extensively. So one of the hidden elephants in the room is we have all this internet of cows and we have internet of animals, but how are we addressing the cost of climate change in the entire perspective? This is where the work that I do along with companies like Brainwired really fit into the picture, and we look at what we call as a dairy heat load index, which is essentially an index that is created from temperature, humidity, black globe temperature, wind speed, wind direction, how much shading is provided in the farm, what are the kind of welfare measures, how many times is the animal being watered, what is the kind of nutrition that is provided, where is the closest veterinarian in case something goes wrong. So we provide that index, and then from there a lot of other enablement and extension services happen. So like insurance, for example, veterinary services, for example. And the food for thought here is because we have 300 million heads of cattle, that essentially means that we have 300 million patients. And I have not personally seen, except for perhaps one company in Cochin, has not even stepped into that market. So the entire veterinary industry in India is ripe for disruption, and the fact of the matter is, when you do that, these economies of scale kind of come, and then you will be able to see a technology adoption going up in big scale. And all these, the presumption that 65-year-olds are not, technology savvy is totally wrong. They are absolutely technology savvy. They know what they are talking about. Not only that, they know their animals, which is something that we don't know. I don't know, what is the behavioral aspect of Champa. We've had this conversation in Haryana, where when they are family members. Champa is a family member, and they know exactly what the behavioral science is. And the idea is that we were to bring all that together into some sort of a quasi-hybrid financial model that will help this. This is where a lot of the technology aspects of it, the data science aspect of it, comes into play. And data science in animal science is completely underrepresented. And that is one of the things that AI and the AI tools are enabling. For example, there is one project that I had worked on, which is basically the somatic cell counter. The problem with somatic cell counter is that I have to take the sample of the milk, I need to take it to the lab, I need to test it, and then if the somatic cell counter values are high, the milk is bad. What if we were to bring a somatic cell counter which is as small as a phone, where I can immediately take the milk sample right directly from the udder and determine that fact, that the somatic cell counter values are low. And what is the technology that has gone behind it? Image analytics. Simplifying it down to these small points, there is massive levels of disruption that could happen. But then again, the point is that if the cost of the fixing of the cow's disease is 45,000 rupees, and a cow costs exactly the same, there is no AI that can fix that. I'm sorry, I'm taking a contrary view here. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. But as you mentioned, one is the costing, other one is the how we approach the industry.
Sure.
So you have mentioned one thing is the innovation of orders, which on your talk.
Yeah.
So see, as we see in Kerala, we have two things. One is scarcity of land for bringing the orders into that way. Other one is the labor, which is more intensive, and the climatic change. But how about creating the environment at a micro level inside a farm, like hydroponics, or like creating a total mix for this cattle, total mix. So because it is not explored, many of the people are not aware of how the feeds are fed in US or any other countries. So they give totally different structure. What is your point on that?
The total feed mix again is a very controversial subject, sir. You know that very well. Acquiring of feed for animals has been a very procurement and capital intensive process. But one thing that is coming out there is the alternatives that can be added. So, for example, nutritional supplements that can be added to animals. One of them, in fact, the government of India is actively promoting is the use of seaweed into animal nutrition. What happens is that you have your silage that is generated primarily on the sugarcane. You just go harvest the sugarcane, which is an 18-month crop. So what that means is that the cycle of production is 18 months. And then on top of it, that you have something like seaweed, which the crop production cycle is for 21 days. So you can harvest the entire thing from a sapling to the actual the unit within 21 days. And the government of India, in fact, has set a seaweed park, in fact, in Tamil Nadu, exclusively for this. Again, from a technologist perspective, it is more on the animal physiology, not so much the implementation of, I would say, AI into it. But there will be a component. For example, I think Brainwired can answer that question. You put your detector on your cattle. How many times do you think the cattle burps, and how much burps contribute to, let's say, carbon emissions? Now, if you were to go in that direction, probably this would work. I'll just give so that would be a good idea. So what happens is that when you put a seaweed supplement, the amount of times the cattle burps goes down, and every time the cattle doesn't burp, the methane emissions go down. And now, can you use that methane emissions or calculate that methane emissions and convert that into some sort of a carbon credit that can go into as an input feed or an input credit into the farmer's pocket? That means I will use the carbon credit that I generated, I'll get about $17 per ton. If that $17 can be used for buying feed, for buying veterinary services, for paying the insurance premium. So it's a very complex, very complex area. A lot of disruption can happen. Every single startup that wants to focus on this, they only need to take a very small problem statement, build that out, you will see a buyer. 110%, not just in India, anywhere in the world.
What about the government giving the support? What support government can give to the startups, bringing this technology, because they need a lot of money or funding, which VCs will not be giving at this first level, since it's a farming or since that piloting will be taking long time to do. But initially in the seed funding, what support government can extend?
I don't know why you are asking me. You should ask Anupam this question. For me, in government, I have a choice to give subsidy to a startup or a potential multi-million valuing company which will reach a multi-million valuation level, or I have the option to give a subsidy of cattle feed or insurance, or I have the subsidy to give for consumer for milk price. So the political choices before government is very simple. I'm not going to look at you people at all. But only thing which I can do is I can give you a market. Government can be an early adapter, and that we are willing to go more and put more than one step forward, and start a mission, and the mechanisms under them will have some solutions to your other problems. But to the organizers of this thing, never get a moderator like him who wears two hats. He is actually a dairy farmer. He is also a technology. He runs a big farm. So all those questions which he has been asking are for his personal benefit, not for the panel's benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the compliments. I think we are running out of time. Let's close it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sreeshankar and Samuel, for giving us interesting insights about technology and encouraging us to adapt to this industry. Thank you once again to this.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thanks a lot. So we are discussing about the artificial intelligence and IoT incorporated in animal husbandry. So now it's time to hand over a small token of love and appreciation for our speakers, and to do the honors, I would like to welcome Sri Alvin George, founder and CEO, VST Mobility Solutions Private Limited. So first of all, we can hand over the token of love and appreciation for Shri M. Sivasankar IAS, Principal Secretary, Animal Husbandry, Sports and Youth Welfare. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us, spending so much information, sharing so much information with us. Thank you so much. Next is for Shri Sreeshankar Nair, CEO and Founder, Brainwired. And next is for Shri Samuel John, CEO, MIsteo Private Limited. And it's time to hand over a small token of love and appreciation for the moderator, Shri Alvin George. To do the honors, I would like to welcome Vishal, Program Head, Kerala Startup Mission, onto the stage. So now it's time to welcome Anup Ambika, CEO of Kerala Startup Mission, also to join us on the stage. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we heard about AI and IoT incorporated animal husbandry. There was a beautiful discussion, and here is the time, and now it's the time to launch the innovative challenge. So Mr. M. Sivasankar IAS, Principal Secretary, Animal Husbandry, Sports and Youth Welfare, along with CEO of Kerala Startup Mission, Mr. Anup Ambika, will launch this innovative challenge. Animal Husbandry Department has come up with interesting problem statements which can be solved through IoT. Now we are launching the Internet of Cows Challenge in association with Kerala Startup Mission. So ladies and gentlemen, now Mr. Sivasankar IAS, Principal Secretary, Animal Husbandry, Sports and Youth Welfare, along with the CEO of Kerala Startup Mission, Mr. Anup Ambika, is launching the Innovation Challenge.